Whew.
Hi guys, I'm Josh Wilson, one of the gunsmiths at Pro Shots, and we are finally retiring one of our most infamous rentals. Our rental AK was one of the first to the rental fleet, and it's been a rental for as long as we've had a rental fleet, like maybe 6 or more years. Chris, what were the numbers on how many rentals that we have documented for this?
350 to 400 rentals.
So 350 to 400 rentals, so we were thinking around, if you bought, you know, average, somebody runs 40 rounds to it, if they rent it out, around 15,000 rounds, something like that. And that's just what we actually have in the system. What happens all the time is we're missing the tickets, they're constantly lost, or they won't scan right, so we'll just scan a different one, or we'll, you know, run them for classes, or we'll run them ourselves. So realistically, we're probably more like 20,000 rounds through this gun. The groupings are starting to open up on it, where I'd say at 25 yards, it's throwing a pattern about like that, but she's still going. Has never been cleaned. I refused to clean it early on as kind of a experiment, because I've always been a big fan of Kalashnikov rifles, and I've had several, and I just kind of found it to be an interesting experiment to see what it will do with this kind of abuse. So all I've ever done is wipe down the outside of it with an oily rag so it won't rust. The only malfunctions we've ever had out of it is when people shoot 5.56 out of it, and it's a 7.62x39 gun, so obviously that's going to be a problem. It blows out a case pretty bad. I'll have Chris show you a shot of that. But it has actually run 2 or 3 rounds of 5.56 in succession before it malfunctioned before, which is really, really weird. And impressive. Is, you know, running a 22 projectile down a 30 cal barrel, blowing out the case, but it still manages to pick them up off the magazine, feed them, fire them, extract them, eject them. So all in all, I've been very impressed with it, excited to tear into it. It's going to be an absolute nightmare tearing it apart, because everything's going to be seized up in it, I'm sure, and just carboned all to pieces. So I'm going to have to beat her apart with a hammer, and then I get to clean it. This gas tube's always been a little loose. It probably was when it was new, because this is a Romanian. Look at see if you can see the buildup in here. In here in the gas tube. Let me get my glasses. Right there. See how thick and caked that is? See if I can break a chunk out of that. I mean, that's... I mean, you can't hardly tell where the steel begins. It's just heavy carbon buildup. That's what's cool about, you know, these little scrapes. I mean, this thing's gonna clear out its way as far as this tube goes. What happens is you try to get these springs out of the way, and I'll show you. You'll trip one of your finger will be down in here, and see how it comes to like a point, and you'll trip it and it'll go Haza! Where that thing's just been bouncing and rattling. It's crazy.
Whew.
That's the wrong way.
I don't think it did move. I think it's always been back so little.
Okay.
No, that just holds structure for the stock. The screws are out of it.
Mm-hmm. Fizzing.
Mmm.
Crunchy.
To the nuclear reactor. That water's gonna need changing afterwards. Ooh, it's already darkening up.
So I went ahead and put her back together, and just so you can get an idea, I got it, you know, I didn't go turbo surgical with it, but if you remember what it looked like before, she's actually, you know, short of the lead contamination and petroleum products, you could eat off of this. And all in all, once, you know, when you get in there and clean up, you'd expect that maybe you'd start to see some more wear, and you could see some of the wear patterns a little bit more, but largely in part, short of a little surface rust that got to be pitted, it's in markedly good shape.